Best Life podcast. With me today, I have the lovely Lillie Kane. Welcome, Lillie. How are you doing today?
I'm doing awesome. I'm so excited for this.
Oh, yay. Yes, I know it's early in the morning for both of us, but we're ready to go, right?
Exactly. We're ready.
Yes, yes. Well, first off, I just want to say that I love, like just how happy you are the whole time. And I really connect with you because I'm kind of the same way. Um, and you're just like just a spark of joy that I think the world really needs, especially right now.
Thank you so much. I have a lot of people tell me I have a lot of energy, and it's just something where when I hear that or I see that, it makes me think, but so do you. Everybody is made up of energy, and it's just how are you going to choose to use your energy and what are you going to put out there? So thank you for that.
Oh, yes. No, I agree. Especially, I think most people they think it's just when we're young, we have all this energy. Oh, you're young. You don't have to do all these things. But I've learned too over the years that you choose, like you said, you choose what you put your time and effort into, and you don't have to do all the things all the time. Like, you can have people help you along the way.
Absolutely. Right.
Well, today I wanted to chat with you about your story, your health story, and also I know you have a big story with just dealing with life, right? As we
Yes.
all do, sometimes we have things that come up in our life that may make things hard, but we just push through, and you're somebody really that has used like your pain and made a big purpose out of your life.
Yes. I don't know if you want me to just jump into it or what.
How whatever you want to do, you can start with whatever you want.
Okay, I guess just some background on how I grew up and who I was and who I am now. But my mom and dad, they were both they met out of alcoholism and drugs, and then because of that, they ended up getting a divorce when I was probably 3 or 4. I don't really remember, but they got a divorce, and my mom ended up gaining custody. And then at that point, my dad just stopped kind of coming around because she made it more of it like a trade deal. Like it wasn't out of love. Like I want you to see the kids out of love. So he ended up eventually not coming around anymore. So I haven't seen my real dad, and I don't know how long. I don't know anything about him or my genetics or my family history. And then my mother still continued to be involved in abusing drugs and alcohol, and she would bring different men into my house, and who would hit us or who would chase us around the house, or there was rape, there was just physical and emotional abuse all of the time. It was like a revolving door of what new man was going to be coming into the house to replace dad. And always feeling like I'm walking on eggshells in my house, because even if it was 9 in the morning, my mom was drunk, and I was a little kid, and
Yeah.
I was just one of the peacemaker. I was the peacemaker. So I have a sister as well. She's 6 me, but she was more tough as nails. And if my mom said anything that was not true, my sister would just try and combat her and say, no, you're wrong. And I learned that just added more fuel to the fire, and it didn't make things better. So I just became more of the peacemaker and was like, do you want a massage? Or how can I help you, mom? But the good thing that happened was my mom met a really nice man named John when I was 6 years old. They dated on and off for years, but eventually they did break up. And that's when more of the men came in, but I still always had John. He's a lot younger than my mom, so they're 13 years apart. And we somehow, even though they were never married, he had no custody over us. We were not related. She would allow us to visit him on the weekends. I think because it was just a way that she was able to. She didn't work, so she was just getting money from the government. Even though she was capable of working, she just lost her job from being drunk at work. So John would support us financially and would buy our clothes and would help us go to school and things like that. So she allowed us to see him on the weekends, I think, for that reason. But he kind of led the way for us and brought us the peace and stability that we needed to know that we can be happy individuals, and we don't have to choose a life of suffering and of alcoholism, or what my mom at least was doing. She was just abusing herself, because obviously there was something where I never knew why, but there was something where obviously she was just very sad and hurting herself. So, it was hard as a kid to know that your mom was choosing something else other than the life that she brought into the world. But
Mhm.
I ended up meeting so many wonderful people through my life. And when I was 16, well, my mom had already kicked my sister and I out when I was 13, and she tried to evict us, even though we were just kids. So you can't technically do that. But then when I was 16, I officially moved out, and then later became legally emancipated, which means I was completely detached from my mother, and I haven't seen her ever since.
Oh, wow. That is such an amazing story. I know I had a traumatic childhood too. Um, and I was, I was always just like I used my pain, to make other people happy. That was always my goal too. It's like I want to make everyone else happy, even if sometimes I wasn't happy on the inside. At least I
Yeah.
can make everyone else happy.
Yeah, and you feel good when you make people happy too. Whenever somebody tells me
Mhm.
like I made them laugh or I made them smile, it makes me instantly smile. I'm not like bummed out. People are laughing and smiling.
No, I just want to like give everyone a hug, right?
Yes.
And it's like, especially whenever this happened with the world, with the pandemic and everything, I wanted everyone just to smile and be like, I know we're going through a hard time right now, but we're gonna get through this. We always do, right? We always do. Um, and so, and how, and what helped through, like, I know high school could be a really hard time. What helped you through that time? And yeah, how did you get through?
A lot of people did not know what was going on in my life. Like no one knew I was going home and crying myself to sleep, because I was just so happy that everyone just thought everything was great, except for of course my close friends or my boyfriend at the time. Their parents would not allow them to come over to my house because they knew.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
but I just involved myself in so many different positive outlets. I was involved in student government, and I was in volunteer club. I was in track and field. I was in volleyball. I was in photography. I was involved in my church. I was just put myself in everything that would keep me kind of out of the house, and would just put me around people who are all trying to grow and be a better version of themselves.
Oh yes, that is so smart.
I think at the time I
Yeah.
didn't really realize it. I mean, I knew that I was trying to
Yeah.
keep myself out of being at the house, but I didn't realize why I was so attracted to the idea.
No, that is I mean, that's great. And you said you had John in your life. Was there any other positive influences or like mentors that you looked up to?
John ended up finding a girlfriend and then fiance, and now they're married, and they have their own kids now. So those are my little sisters, even though they are uh, almost 25 years younger than me. But John's wife is 9 years younger than him, and so her name's Sarah. But so we're only 10 years apart. But it's really nice having closer in age family, parents, or role models, because I can just relate better to them. And now at this point in my life, I used to look up to them as more of like parental figures, and now I look at
Mhm.
them as more of like we're friends, and it's really nice to have that. But she also, my mom didn't encourage us to go to school, to go to college. To I didn't even know what jobs existed. I just thought you become a worker, or just something not involved in like I can be more and I'm capable of so many things. And both John and Sarah ended up going to college, and they kind of just showed me that there's a lot of opportunity. Not that I think I would have had to go to college, because I don't use my degree at this point, but at
Yeah.
least it gave me the opportunity to spend more time being with friends and not having to really adult yet.
Oh
I,
yes, yes.
I already adulted at 16.
Oh yes. I mean, I think, you've been through so much already by the age of 16, and now you're like, okay, now what world?
Yeah, I feel like I was like, I mean, kind of like Michael Jackson, honestly, where I was just like,
Yeah.
I felt like my youth, I had to be the parent, and I had to take over the role of like cooking my own meals and taking myself to school. And I took care of my sister, even though she was older than me. So because my mom just wasn't involved in any of that. So at a young age, I was fending for myself. And then when it came time to turn 18, I was like, sweet, let's go to college.
Yeah. Well, now let's jump into your health story. Did you have any health issues growing up? or, you know, what does that look like for you?
I'm very fortunate that I was involved in sports like my whole life. So I have a ton of energy and I always was, honestly, I think I was in a calorie deficit most of my life too, because we just didn't have the money. My mom didn't work.
Mm.
So I was having just like a lot of top ramen and frozen peas. But so we didn't have like none of the food that I eat today, but
Yeah.
I was on the outside healthy looking, skinny. If that,
Mm-hmm.
that's what people say, oh, you've never been obese. But
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that necessarily means I was healthy. But then when I went to college, I finally had access to all the different foods and unlimited amounts of food and desserts. And while I was still a competitive track athlete in college, I was so happy that I gained 15 pounds my freshman year, because I was always made fun of for being too skinny,
Mm-hmm.
or looking anorexic or having chicken legs. So I was so happy that I was 115 pounds at the end of my freshman year. And then by the time I graduated college, I was 120 pounds. And I was like, I'm never running again. My knees hurt. I'm so broken from hurdling and from triple jumping, all of that. That was breaking apart my knees and my shins. So I said, I'm never working out again. I'm a healthy person. I do not gain weight. I know. And then when I stopped working out, and after a year, my 120 pounds of muscle turned into 120 pounds of maybe some fat. And so I kept eating donuts and desserts, and I thought, it's just normal to have dessert every day.
Mm-hmm.
And I like it, and it makes me really happy. And then I met my fiance, who he wasn't having donuts and desserts, and I would say, you're not living life, you're missing out, come on, let's go get some donuts. And he'd say, I'll take you to get them. Like, that's totally fine, have it. And over time, it's just not as fun to have your dessert by yourself. And he has more autoimmune conditions himself and with his health. So, and he's older than me too. So he did vegan and fruitarian and vegetarian and all these different kinds of lifestyles, wanting to seek out the most health for himself. And in the process found less health. So he ended up being around me, who was like, let's have quesadillas and paninis and all these other kinds of foods that I thought were healthy because nobody taught me anything. And he started noticing his health. Like, you can see it, it's just on him. Whereas for me, you couldn't really tell as much. 5 pounds wasn't that big of a deal. So anyway, slowly I started having just less carbs, less processed foods, less sugar. And then I kind of just immediately lost 15 pounds without even going keto, without eating carnivore, anything like that. But and I wasn't ever doing it for weight loss either. It just kind of happened accidentally. I didn't even know I had like fat to lose. But then and then the biggest thing for me was my mental clarity and being able to finally think. I felt like I was living in a black and white world, even though I didn't realize it at the time. And now I can see. So it's like my joint pain in my knees went away, even though I thought I was going to have knee surgery. I just feel like my brain functions better. I don't have peaks and lows of energy. I don't have mood swings. I'm not crying all the time. So it was just kind of like accidental health journey where I found all these benefits. But my fiance does notice there's different things with his autoimmune condition. He ended up saying, I got to take out some of the fruit. I got to take out some of the vegetables. I can do whatever I want personally as myself, but it was just easier for us to cook and clean together. And then I just started slowly taking out some of the foods, though I feel like I can digest them pretty well.
Wow, yeah, and I can really relate to your story too. Yeah, because I grew up pretty poor, and we didn't have much food. A lot of it was processed. I thought all the food came in boxes until I was like, until I met my husband. I didn't really cook or anything. He taught me how to cook. But yeah, and all the autoimmune stuff, I've dealt with that too. And I had to take out a lot of things, and I just had to do it again. Yeah, because it's hard when you do deal with autoimmune stuff, and then it's also hard when you're not healthy on the inside. But yeah, you're skinny doesn't mean healthy, right?
Right.
But you feel so much better now, right?
Yes.
And you're helping others. And so how did your YouTube channel come about? Because it's amazing. and I love all your videos and your content. And how do you think of all these videos?
Thank you so much. Well, I guess I should probably emphasize, if anybody watches any of it, I do have a lot of energy. I love Jim
Yeah.
Carrey and all of that, all of the funny people, because I like making people smile and laugh. So my actual goal with the YouTube channel was not with their health. It was just to bring people joy and happiness. I always wanted to be an
Aw.
actress, and I just never, didn't have the financial means to get me in that situation. But
Yeah.
once COVID hit, then I was like kind of bored. I wasn't really doing anything. So I was a realtor before, and I was living in Maui, and people weren't allowed into the island. We were kind of just looking for a way to move off the island anyway, because we had been there for a few years, and we just wanted to do something new. So I ended up taking the time to just figure out what I was going to do. And I have a really hard time sitting still. So I was like, I'm going to make a YouTube channel about crafts. And I want to be like Mr. Beast, who gives away his money and gives away his cars and things like that. So I don't have a lot of money and things to give away, but I'm going to make crafts and send them to people all over the world.
Oh,
So I
wow.
did that for a few months, and I was sending stuff to people, and eventually I just realized it really wasn't picking up. I just slowly started doing things like what's trending in 2020 2021, what to get your Valentine's Day, things like that, just kind of putting random stuff out there. And I put what I eat in a day out there, a random video, and it just went viral. And everyone was asking, what, you only eat 6 foods? And it ended up being where I learned a lot about myself because of how people reacted to the video. And I learned a lot about health and nutrition at that point, because I was eating a carnivore diet, though I didn't realize it, didn't know about it, didn't really do it for the sake of like trying to do carnivore. I just wanted all the vitamins and minerals my body needed. And so, yeah, just slowly over time, I make a lot of my content based on questions I get from people. Or if there's something, like I said, I didn't start my channel because I want to talk about health, even though I think without your health, it is really hard to be happy. So I get a lot of fulfillment from making the videos about health. But I feel like I have a lot of different ideas and things that I would like to bring to the world other than just talking about low carb, keto, carnivore. And so I try to make videos that also make me happy, whether that's something that's on my heart about our potential energy or something like that.
Wow. No, I love it. I love it. Yeah, it's funny with, well, the same thing happened to me with keto. I was doing keto for a few years and I had never heard of it. It was, for me, I was doing an anti-candida diet. So you're trying to starve out the yeast and all that stuff. And anyway, that's keto because it's just vegetables and meat. And anyway, and it's funny how one thing just leads to another, and you see people call it something, and then once it gets called something, it's like it becomes like a thing.
Yeah. It's funny because I posted that I only eat 6 foods video a year ago in January. And so today, just before jumping on with you, I posted I only eat these 5 foods video. Or I eat these 5 foods every day, not I only eat, because at this point I've realized I don't only eat anything. I can eat whatever I want to eat. And I choose to have other foods over others. But to put myself in a box, it doesn't work well with me. And also when I have people who legitimately like come to me wanting to know, why am I eating certain foods, or why do I do things in a certain way? And we're all on different points in our health journey. And I never want anyone to copy me or do things like me, because I've never smoked a cigarette. I've never, there's just things that I don't, in my health, that is different from other people's health, that for me, I got to do what works best for me. But I've changed so much, I feel like, from the past year when I made that video, that I wanted to make kind of a replicate of that video, but showing the differences and like what I've learned.
Oh, that's so smart. Yes, I'm gonna have to watch that video. Yeah, and I remember when you put that video, your first video out with the 6 foods, and I was like, wow, this is so creative.
And I looked like a crazy person too. So
hey, you know what?
I was new.
And that's what sparks people's attention, though, is you need someone different, because there's so many people kind of almost putting out the same message, or or saying this one thing works, right? when that's not true either. Everyone's different. Everyone's microbiome has been through different environments. And that's why I think it's really important for people to realize is that we're all different because of our environment, right? And also your emotional environment plays a role too, and all that stuff. So, well, and you are a certified health and nutrition life coach too, and that's kind of a new title that I've seen you put out there. So tell me about that.
I, it was a thing where for me, I'm very goofy and silly in my videos, and I feel like sometimes people don't take me seriously because I'm just trying to have fun. I'm not a doctor, and I'm not going to give you an information like a doctor would. But I wanted to have the title as a way to have people kind of give me a little bit of kudos. And I wanted to do a life coach certification too, because I don't think that health is just what you eat. I think reducing your stress, having even good finances, so that way you can afford the good food, or so you can feel the peace in your heart, or your relationships with other people or yourself, or maybe it's spirituality. So I wanted to have like the whole life thing, because life is not just eating food. It's about what you actually do in a day and how you present yourself and what you go through. And I've been really lucky to now have been able to have so many conversations with people. So the last person was 67. The first person I had was 16. So to be able to talk to all the different age groups and people with different things going on, whether they have to, should probably gain some weight, or whether they have a CAC score of 800. So it's just nice to be able to actually connect with people, because I spend my day talking to myself at a camera all day. So to be able to have a conversation like this and see somebody smiling and then walk away feeling like I helped them is so meaningful.
Oh yes, it is so rewarding, isn't it?
Yes.
Just sometimes if I just some people come to me a lot with digestive issues and autoimmune issues. And sometimes if I just recommend, hey, let's try cutting out the grains or the dairy for a little bit and see how you feel, you're not telling someone to have a restrictive diet. You're just saying, hey, let's try this. And they come back and they report how they feel, and they're like, oh my gosh, I lost like 10 pounds or 20 pounds just from doing that, and I feel amazing. I can think better. And it's like, you're not telling someone to do something, but you're just kind of helping them along.
Yeah, and sometimes I feel like a lot of the people just want to not feel alone, really. I think a lot of us don't have people to talk to, especially like just the way of the world. The majority of people are not seeking out their health. I mean, realistically, otherwise the statistics of just how health would be different. But I think a lot of times too, people just want to have someone to talk to, or just to like bounce ideas off of. Because at the end of the day, a lot of people know probably shouldn't be having cookies, or shouldn't be doing certain things that I know are creating bad habits or are damaging my health. Nobody really needs you or I to tell them any of these things. They know it. It's just, how did you do it? Or, accountability, or just ask some questions and just not feel like they're doing it by themselves.
Yes, and that's why I've learned, especially recently for myself too, is I'm one of those people that doesn't like to ask for help. I like to just do the things. But sometimes we need a community, right?
Yes.
So, and community is so important.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and to have somebody by your side too that maybe can coach you along the way, like a coach like you or me.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think people should be trying to live life by themselves. I think the majority of people do try to find a partner or a family, or just try to surround themselves with people, because being isolated all day, we're social beings.
No, we are. And I know I was going crazy for a while, when I couldn't do all the things I wanted to do. And that's why, as bad of a rap as social media gets and YouTube gets, it's such a creative outlet where we can reach out to people and we can spread our message, and we could have a sense of community, right?
Right.
Yeah. So now I have some other questions I want to ask you here. What is one thing you think people should know about you that may surprise them the most?
Oh, I don't know. I can juggle. I can speak Spanish. And Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I don't know. That's probably the worst answer you've ever had.
No, no, actually, I don't generally ask people that, but I'm gonna start asking people that. I'm kind of changing on my podcast a little bit, and I thought you would be a fun first person to ask that too.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was probably the hardest question you've asked me.
Oh no, sorry. I had to put
I'm
you
an
on the
avid
spot.
reader, so I don't know if people know that. I try to tell people that, but I read every single day, and I even at one point during the whole lockdown, I read 50 books in 6 months.
Wow. Oh yes, I did not know that. Yes, I love to read too. It's funny because I have a 14-year-old. He just turned 14, and it's hard. We're in a different world now. We're in the digital world, of course. And I always tell him, when I was growing up, I had my nose in a book the whole time. That was my favorite, and I can't get him to read at all.
Oh, whew.
I know, and he's like, "Well, Mom, just because you like to read doesn't mean I have to like to read." And
Yeah.
I'm like, it's really nice, I think.
He'll have to find it on his own time.
That's what I've learned about raising a son too, especially, is like you can't push things. They have to just learn things on their own. It's hard to watch sometimes, but you just gotta let them fall and figure things out, right?
Yeah. Be there for them when they're ready. Just let
Yes,
the open door.
yes. Well, okay, what is one mantra that you think needs to be shouted from the rooftop?
Okay. Um, choose love over fear.
I love it. Yes. We should have shirts. Yes, choose
My
love.
mantra growing up as a kid. That was just something that I had to choose to not have fear.
Yes, I know. I think it's so important. And that's a lesson I just learned in the last couple of years because I lived most of my life in fear. One thing that most people don't know about me is I didn't start driving until I was like 32. And it's kind of embarrassing to say, but I was definitely afraid.
Okay.
Because I'm from Washington State, and I lived in big cities there, and I saw plenty of accidents, and I was afraid.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's just an example. But after I conquered that, I started just doing all the things I was afraid of, like this right here.
Yes, that's the thing. Once you a lot of times it's the idea that freaks us out. And then the act of doing it, when you're in the midst of doing it, you're actually not as afraid anymore. Like I went skydiving. I want to swim with sharks, all these things that when you say it at
Wow.
first, you're like, that sounds scary. And then when you're doing it, somehow it's like you feel more peace.
Well, yeah, and like climbing a mountain because I'm in Colorado now, and I've climbed lots of mountains now. But my husband has been there to push me along the way. But the first mountain I climbed, I was like, how do you get up there? He's like, you walk. I'm like, no, you don't walk. But it's true, you do walk. You walk up the mountain. You have to shimmy a little bit. But now I've done all the things that I never thought I could do. And that just proves that you just got to do the thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where is your dream wedding location?
Um,
If you want to share it, you don't have to share this because I know this is something that's coming up in your near future.
my dream wedding location would either be at the Grand Wailea in Maui. That's where we met. It's where it all started. And if you've never been there, it is one of the most beautiful properties to be. Or in Bali.
Ooh, yes. That sounds awesome.
We were supposed to be there literally March of 2020.
Oh,
We're not able to go. So one day.
oh, yes, you're gonna go there, girl. You're gonna have so much fun.
Yeah.
I know. I've always wanted to go to Bali. That looks just like a beautiful place. So tropical.
Yes.
If you could eat one meal for the rest of your life, what would it be?
It would be, there would be bacon. There
Yes.
would be, I love rack of lamb. That is one of my favorite things to
Oh,
eat.
yes.
I would also have an artichoke because I like artichokes with butter. And if this was my last meal of my life where I'm about to pass away, I would have a Reese's peanut butter cup and a maple donut.
Wow, yes. I know, we gotta think about these things, right? You never know. It could be we could just be having, we could find out tomorrow that there's a huge meteor, right? It's gonna come down. So we gotta prepare.
Yes. And I wouldn't want to eat a maple donut and a Reese's peanut butter cup every day for the rest of my life, because I wouldn't, my brain just wouldn't feel very good and my emotions would be all over the place because it's messing with my brain chemistry. But if we're talking last time, sure, why not?
Yes. What is the biggest benefit you have received from spreading your message, and how has it impacted your life?
I would say, honestly, I feel like I haven't worked a day. I get to wake up and I am excited and I get to choose what I want to do and what I'm going to talk about. But to get so many emails or messages on Instagram or Facebook or read the comments on my videos, of course, there are people who are having something going on in their life where they're going to be negative and mean to me, but I don't take that personally. I just send them a blessing and delete their comment. But then for all of the majority of comments are just so, they make me feel like I have a purpose, and they make me feel like I'm really helping people and making people happier, or at least opening people's eyes to go and seek out different information. And it just feels, to be able to wake up and know I'm going to make people smile is the best feeling.
Oh, that's amazing. Yes, I agree with that. I think like when we're living in our joy and we're spreading joy, we're giving other people joy, it just kind of goes back and forth, right?
Right. I'm sure you don't wake up miserable like, oh man, today I've got to be happy.
No. Yeah, especially like lately, I've been waking up with so much joy. I'm like, okay, what can I do today? That's gonna be a positive impact on the world. Or okay, what do I need to do, world? you know.
Yes.
And let's see here. Well, I guess I already kind of asked that one. What is your morning routine? So Lillie wakes up, and what does that look like?
I usually get up at about 6:40 because that's when Bryce's alarm goes off. So I don't actually look at my cell phone or laptop. I don't put anything in front of my face as a screen for the first hour of my morning. So I get up at 6:40 and then I will make the bed and the days I'm not working out in the afternoon, so I'm not going to the gym, I will work out in my home where I'm just doing kind of light exercises, squats, lunges, abs, and do that for about 25 minutes until 7:15. Then from 7:15 to 7:30, I take a walk outside. From 7:30 to about 7:45, I meditate and close my eyes. And then at that point, I'll have a glass of water and I will try and listen to Joe Dispenza or Neil Donald Walsh, or somebody who is going to just realign my energy again, because that's what I'm doing when I'm meditating, is just focusing on all of the good and sending out my energies of like attracting hopefully good things to me. And or even like before this podcast, I'm thinking it's going to be a great conversation. We're going to change lives. We're going to, hopefully something will click in somebody's head that will impact them in a better way. So just aligning my energy for the day. And then, about 7:45, 7:50, then I'm rudely awakened to reading some TikTok comments or the TikTok thing is really, for me, I'm starting to realize it's like Twitter, but on video. So I really will put that one for last. Usually my YouTube comments are the nicest ones. So I will go through those and just see if there's anything urgent that I have to respond to, whether that's emails or working with my sponsors or other business partners, then just responding to anything that needs to be done. But then at that point, then usually I'll start filming, or I'll have a conversation on a podcast, or I will have a coaching call. So that's just the beginning of the day.
Wow. Yeah, that sounds beautiful. Yeah. And I just started listening to Joe Dispenza. I actually did I like to do my meditations like on YouTube. I'll find like a good music or visual that helps me. And I did one of his New Year meditations, like a
Mm,
guided meditation. Yeah, it was really beautiful.
I'll
Yeah.
have to check that out.
Yeah, it's I for me that works. I've tried I can't just sit in silence for me. Sometimes I can, but I find it helps to get me in the mood.
Absolutely. Yes, when I first start and I lay down, my mind is all over the place. I'm thinking about the day, I'm thinking about this, and that, and running through the list of things I have to do yeah, I mean, it took me a long time to calm my brain today and be like, you're here right now, focus on right now. Everything else will
Yeah.
happen when it happens.
Yes, that has been the hardest thing for me too. But I like meditation, the active meditation, it's a practice, right? We practice each day and we get our brains better at it each day. It's not like one day you wake up, oh, I'm gonna think about nothing, right?
Yes.
It's so powerful. Okay, well, what is no, we did your morning routine. What's the nightly? How do you unwind?
So around 5:30-ish, we start making dinner, and then we'll usually be done around 6:10 or something like that. And then we take a walk afterwards. And then I will continue to work on my screen until 7:30. And after that, done, off the screens. And then I'll take a shower and I will read. So that's when I spend, a good hour at least reading. Or I'll plan out my
Nice.
day. Or I'll journal.
Yes, journaling. I need to start doing that again.
I've somehow managed to journal my whole life. I used to read Junie
Yeah.
B. Jones, which is like a little kid's book. When I was a kid, she would write these little journals. So I have
Oh.
journals from when I was 6 years old all the way until now. So it's like I have my whole
Oh
life
wow.
documented.
That's awesome. Yes. I'm like one of these sporadic people. So I had a diary when I was young, but I didn't write a lot in it. And then yeah, I actually I think I really started journaling a lot when I got sober. Like,
Mm.
I've struggled with that. But that just helps to get all the thoughts out, all the feelings, do a brain dump kind of thing. So
Yeah, I used
journaling
to.
helps.
Yes, I used to journal with that for just like getting things off my chest, and now I really don't have to get things off my chest. Luckily, I just feel a lot of peace. So I mostly just do it at this point because I want to remember what goes on, or at least what I'm feeling. I'll write down things like what the gas prices are. I'll write down things just so that way in 10 years from now, I can be like, wow, remember when I did that or thought this.
Oh yeah, no, it's really good to look back on because now I can look back in all my entries and be like, okay, I was feeling that way at that time, and
Mhm.
now look at me now. I'm so much better, or I've improved in this or that, and it really does help. So.
Yeah.
Well, I will let you go here soon, but is there any last words or messages you think that people should know, or anyone, someone maybe just starting on their health journey that you think would be some great advice?
I think anybody starting their health journey, I would first not personally look into food. I personally would start with working on my mind, because even if someone finds, okay, the healthiest thing for me to eat hypothetically is salmon, if I'm eating it and I'm doing it because I feel like I have to, or I'm miserable eating it, and then we find out later salmon wasn't even the healthy thing to eat. So I would say doing things that working on my mind first, because a lot of times, especially when people are trying to go on a diet, whether that is for autoimmune or mental health or for weight loss, they can do it for like a month, maybe 3 months, maybe a year. But at a certain
Mhm.
point, if you're not doing it because you legitimately want to do that and that's what makes you feel so good inside, then it's not going to last. And then you're going to be back where we came from. So I would say I would start by working on my mindset, whether that is by just having up 10 minutes in the day to just focus on how I'm feeling, or to journal, or to give gratitude, or to listen to a positive podcast or YouTube channel, or read a book, but something that is reducing the stress in my life and making me realize that I am capable of more than I could ever imagine, which I find a lot of people struggle with believing in themselves and realizing their potential. And the majority of people have the majority of their thoughts are negative thoughts. And I would say I'd work on my mindset first.
Oh, yes, that is so beautiful. I love that. And I agree. Most people they go to the diet and the exercise first and it's like they're punishing themselves.
Mhm.
And we have to work on yeah, you know, the emotional piece, right? Why are you doing some of the things that you're doing anyway? And you are worthy, you are worth it, and you deserve joy and love. you know.
Yes. And honoring our bodies and wanting these things
Yeah.
because we want to live life. Life for me does not mean I get my joy anymore from having Oreos. You know,
Mhm.
I can still find joy in food, whether that's having bacon or a good steak or something like that. But I find so much more joy in being able to travel, spend time with family, go for a hike, experience life that I wouldn't be able to do as easily or as pain-free or as abundantly if I was not healthy.
Yes, yes. I love it. I love it. So if somebody wants to work with you, where do they go and how do people find you?
People can find me everywhere nowadays. I would say on my YouTube channel is where I provide the most free content, hopefully the most entertainment, the most smiles, but also the most information. I also have an Instagram. Oh, that's Lillie Kane. And then my Instagram is Lillie Kane underscore YouTube, Facebook, Lillie Kane, and TikTok, Lillie Kane underscore YouTube. And then if they would like to work with me, I have a website that is linked on all of those different platforms. And then they can just click through there and sign up for a coaching call.
Perfect. And I will link all of your information below as well and in the podcast as well. So I thank you so much for coming on today, Lillie. You were just a breath of fresh air and joy and love. And I love what you're doing.
Well, thank you so much for having me. And it was so fun getting to connect and see your smile and feel your energy. And now I'm fueled for the rest of my day for having a great day. So thank you so much for having me and doing this and putting out all the information and content that you do to bring more peace and joy to this world.
Oh, thank you so much, Lillie. Love you. Bye.
Bye.